Obviously, Ezekiel Elliot has been on a downward trajectory for years at this point, but he did squeak through to reach the century mark last year, got to, or even beyond that, 1,000 yards, 1,002 yards, finished in the high 900s the season prior, 875.5 is his line on the DraftKings Sportsbook. So what's the expectation for him this year?
I don't think he's going to get to that number. I think he's going to have a good season, but if I'm the Cowboys, given his injury history, injured last year, the injuries are only going to be more frequent as he gets up in the years. The best thing that you can do is just try to use him as sparingly as possible, especially during the regular season. If you want to have some sort of run in the playoffs, you don't want to have him completely run down by then. They've got Tony Pollard, who is getting better every year. He may actually be the better running back. I know they want to use Pollard as more of a receiving back, but you don't do that because Pollard is much better than just being receiving back. And B, when you use Pollard, it really limits your scheme. It alerts the defense that you're going to pass. The best plan would to dial back on Ezekiel Elliott this season. So I think advanced metrics-wise and yards per carries-wise, he's going to have a really good season. But if we're looking at raw totals like 1,000 yards, I don't believe he's going to get there. He might get a bunch of touchdowns. You can give him tons of red zone work, but there's just no reason in the regular season to pound Ezekiel Elliott into the ground.
Jules, I guess really I should have asked, can he reach 10 century marks? What do we think?
Yeah, century mark, I think he will get there to 100.
Maybe even
call.
More than once in a game.
Might do it in week one.
Yeah.
But look, like Jeff talked about, so it sounds like Jeff and I are leaning over on Woods. Pierce leans under. But like Jeff said, it's football. Anybody can get hurt at any time. So, like, if you're playing 10 season-long player props, 8 or 9 of them are probably going to be unders, and the minimal overs that you play, you have to see a pretty good edge there. So Elliott's gone over this number every year of his career. So I think this one's just setting up for a little bit of a trap. Setting it that low at 875, it says a lot. And Tony Pollard is just kind of the better back, potentially, at this stage of their careers. He had over 700 yards and almost half the carries as Zeke last year. So like Pierce said, why are you going to use Ezekiel Elliott? He can be the goal line guy, and he'll put up some good stats, but I don't think he's getting over 875. And he could even do that with 10 or 12 touchdowns. But last year, Pollard, 5.5 yards per carry, Zeke, 4.2. Like, there's younger, fresher legs that Dallas can use over a guy like Ezekiel Elliott at this stage. And then if there's any injury potential at a position, we were just talking about Woods at wide receiver, running back is the position that you want to look at injuries. So you miss a few games, you already have an edge there on an under.
Jeff, they're going to keep feeding Zeke?
So, I don't like taking a ton of overs on player props either. You should generally be leaning under, but I just don't know how you can go under on 875 for Ezekiel Elliott. You guys are talking about injury issues. This is a dude who's played 15 or more games the last 4 years. And yes, Tony Pollard is absolutely the better back. That doesn't mean anything to Mike McCarthy or head coaches. They'll consistently run out guys who average 3.5 yards per carry. Look at James Conner and the Arizona Cardinals last year. Ezekiel Elliott is going to be the early down back. Absolutely. He only had 237 carries last year. I like that. He actually has had low tread the last couple seasons, which is good. Yeah, he's getting up there a little bit, but he's only 27. I think at this number, he's got at least 1 or 2 good years left. He's coming off a low carry season. I just think you have to go over on this number. Again, I don't like taking a ton of overs unless they're at good numbers. And this number for Zeke, I think that the Cowboys will be running more this year. They're in a weaker division. This is a team that wants to run the ball with McCarthy anyways, and I think Zeke will get enough early down carries to go over. So pull me down for an over on Elliott. Again, I think Pollard's a better back, but I don't really think it'll matter in terms of usage.